Donald Trump and Elon Musk are mass murderers. Maybe not of the Ted Bundy or Jeffrey Dahmer variety, the type of serial killer or mass murderer we think of in our pop culture collective conscience, but from a organizational decision-making standpoint, when we look at the adjudication of power and how that affects the living and compromises their ability to live and live freely and healthily, what Donald Trump and Elon Musk did in regard to the Usaid cuts as part of the quote-unquote DOGE program, the Department of Government Efficiency, which if you look at the end result of that entire experiment, didn't actually end up saving money and has only, as we're about to see, ruined countless people's lives, including already having led to and will lead to countless deaths. Now, for some reason, our society doesn't treat this type of murder the same way we do as when, someone gets stabbed or shot or killed in a violent, gruesome way up close. And from a optics point, it definitely feels different. But when we talk about responsibility, there is no denying that these deaths are easily preventable, easily predictable, and a obvious outcome of the DOGE Usaid cuts. As much as Secretary of State Marco Rubio wants to pretend that nobody has died because the United States has cut aid, that is simply not the truth and does not align with reality. So this is something that has been in the news for a while now. It resurfaced to my attention because the Washington Post put out this article here about how Trump's Usaid cuts has stranded life-saving drugs and how children have died waiting. Now, this is a really long and detailed piece. If you don't have a Washington Post subscription like I don't, you can read it by using archive.org, a great tool if you ever want to get past a paywall to be able to get critical information from an article. This piece dives into the specifics of how the US aid cuts are already affecting the current global supply chain of aid and how there's already been spikes in malaria and an increase in HIV deaths compared to the same time period last year. There's a whole bunch of great information. I definitely recommend you check out this whole piece if you're interested. But the bottom line, and this was a study that came out from the Lancet a few months ago, I believe this was back in June. Another thing here where if you go to the Lancet's website, you can download the PDF and read the entire funding. But the bottom line, what this study finds is that forecasting models predict that the current funding cuts could result in more than 14 million additional all-age deaths by the year 2030, and that includes over 4.5 million deaths of children younger than the age of 5. And they also found in the same study that 91,800,000 all-age deaths, or over 30 million in children younger than 5, have been prevented by US aid funding over the 21-year study period. So what is easily observable by those who do the research, and I understand there's a bit of a war on the intellectual academic class where people, there's a segment of society who won't trust reports like this on their face. But like I said, you can download the PDF, you can look at their sources, you can look at the entire study that they ran. It's extremely detailed and professional work. If you read the full thing and still come away denying it, you're probably not living in reality, but that's up to you to do on your own. I'm just here to share with you the overlying findings and the outcome of these studies. But basically, the US aid program has proven to be vastly successful in saving millions upon millions, tens of millions even, almost 100 million lives over 21 years. That's a hell of a lot of people who have gotten to experience the beauty of life, see their family, their friends, give back to their community for years and years longer because of this program. So that's why it's especially malicious and nefarious when Marco Rubio claims that no one has died because the United States cut aid, because it's obvious that they have. If you have a program that is delivering funding towards aid that has been proven to save millions of lives, well, when you take away that funding, those same lives that you were saving before are now being lost needlessly, senselessly. It's not like the US doesn't have that money. Like I said, if you look at the overall outcome of the DOGE program, they didn't actually save the government any money, because when you look at Trump's tax cuts, the additional spending that his government has occurred, he's exploded the debt and the deficit even more than it already was. So if this government's goal was to save money, things like this have not helped, and their overall actions has only made things worse, which should reveal to you, as it reveals to me, that their real goal isn't to save money. It's an ideological goal of feeling like the poor have to strap it out for themselves. They have to struggle. We can't give any help to the poor people. But if you're a billionaire, if you're Elon Musk, maybe soon to be a trillionaire, if you're a multi-hundred millionaire, well, guess what? You deserve tax cuts, you deserve subsidies, you deserve tax loopholes, you deserve everything in the world. But if you're poor, you're the scum of the earth, you don't deserve medicine, you don't deserve food, you don't deserve services. Anything that Usaid went to funding, whether it was medical care, medicine, again, food, clothes, etc., shelter, too bad. You don't deserve that because you're the scum of the earth, and especially because a lot of this US aid is going to foreign countries, non-predominantly white countries. You might argue there's a racial aspect here as well. Like, ew, why would we help these black and brown people? We should be using it on the rich white folks over here in the good US of A. I mean, it's disgusting, frankly, not to make light of it, but sometimes the world is just so cruel that other than dealing with it with sarcasm, it can be hard to get through, right? And this type of thing is, I know there's so much with the Trump administration and, even Elon himself, both in and out of government. There's so much with those two men where they deserve copious amounts of criticism and disdain, and just there should be this all-out push for both these men to hopefully someday face repercussions for the harm that they have caused both in America and abroad. But this in particular, Elon Musk should be thrown in jail. Donald Trump should be thrown in jail. Marco Rubio, throw his ass in jail too. I mean, he's, contributed to other war crimes like what's happening in Venezuela, so we can lock his ass up for that. But even his comments on this are so disgusting that it makes me want to throw him in jail. But, freedom of speech and whatnot. If he wasn't directly involved in cutting aid, don't worry. We'll lock up Trump and Musk for that. For you, Rubio, we'll save it for your war crimes in regards to what's happening down in Venezuela, which I've done other videos about if you haven't heard about that stuff already. But yeah, for some reason, we live in this world where lives like Sousa Kenyaba's are just not valued, and there's this Republican right-wing attempt to pretend like, oh, the US aid cuts, she would have died anyways. It's not because we cut the aid that could have saved her life. Bullshit. How dumb do you think we fucking are? That's what makes me so sick. It's the fact that they've done this, that is for sure, what makes me sickest of all. But it's even sicker that they go out of their way to deny their culpability in these actions they directly took and directly could have not took. This was an active choice. Little girls like Sousa did not have to die, and she is just the face of many who have been impacted by these decisions. So although they may not be the serial killers of the Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer variety, the body count that Donald Trump and Elon Musk have stacked up with these US aid cuts alone are beyond our wildest imaginations.